These are migratory birds that come to my house every year. They're the red wing blackbirds. Mexican blackbirds is what they're called. There's a song about them. Mexican blackbird. But anyway, I have a bunch of food out here on the ground. And, these are migratory birds. Listen to them. Okay, I don't know if you can hear them on the phone. They are just talking up a storm. But anyway, I feed them just cracked corn. That's all I can really afford because there's so many of them. But there's no food for these birds in the world anymore. The people really don't understand what they did when they domesticated cattle and all that stuff, because the cattle, unless they roam and get into other places and migrate, they cannot carry the seed that is needed to feed these birds. These birds, they live off the, they like the wild sunflowers. The black sunflower seeds or whatever, that's what they really like. And they are the coolest little birds, man. They're like monkeys, But anyway, the thing about these birds is they come here every year from Mexico or wherever, and they've been coming here for probably the last, 100,000 years at least, And not only these birds, they're starting to come onto the ground over here where I got the food. See them? Now they're just swarming because they're not scared of me no more. But the fear that they have was put in there a long time ago by Neanderthal. Neanderthal was here and they figured out how to hunt these little black birds with black feathers and then just a red patch or a yellow patch or an orange patch. So there's 4 different colors on each of these birds that would have went into their headdresses and stuff. And I kind of suspect that there used to be parrots here from Mexico, the green parrots and all that. And I find out here in this desert, the debitage and, here's one right here. I just pick them up and throw them down on the ground here. What that is a metate. It's a mono or a metate, either one. But they use that to grind down stuff. And then, of course, here's a few other pieces I picked up out here. Here. Now you may look at this and go, well, I find rocks like that all the time. Do you? Do you find them like this? You know what that is? That's North America's first bowl. It's chipped out of a piece of jasper. And they made a bowl, and right when they were finishing it or something, they broke it. But why did they need a little bowl like that with all these other tools? This tool right here. I mean, look at the damage on this thing where they beat other rocks with that. They actually peeled it. Here's a little metate. It's broke from where I found it out in the road. Here is an awesome piece of jasper that they were using. But yeah, it's just, I pick up all this stuff out here. I picked up one yesterday. Now that's not a normal stone. That's been rubbed on both sides for a very long time by some very strong people. But yeah, that's basically what's going on out here. Is Neanderthal was here long before the Native Americans, because the Native Americans are their grandchildren. Great grandchildren. So what happened is these birds were hunted by the first people to come into North America. Right over that, through that pass, right through there. And they settled this, man. This is not This is only from a small portion of what I found out here. I've got boxes and, you know, truckloads of this stuff. I can go right out here and pick up a hammerstone or an arrowhead or whatever, but these are not normal arrowheads. These arrowheads are bipolar percussion, which is just like this. They actually chipped away at this thing. This is the most amazing piece that I found out here so far. I might have one more of these somewhere, maybe in another collection, but what this was for was melting the glue that they made the arrows with. And so they would take the sap from the pine trees around here, or whatever they could get the sap out of, and they would put it in here with some rabbit poo pellets and some charcoal. And then they would mix it all around, you know, set this next to the fire, and it would melt all together, and then they would stir it up and stuff, and then they would get that super glue that they would make their arrows with. So that's what this was. I don't think that they used this one. I think they might have broke it, although the fracture really looks like it happened much later in life. But that is just an amazing artifact right there. Anyway, so there used to be a giant marsh here, and you can see that I am kind of like down in. That is not a mistake that you're seeing out there. I'm down in the lowest part of this, what was the marsh here at one time, and it gets higher all the way around me, but there's still marshes out there. There's marshes everywhere around here that are still gushing water into, you know, that's where these birds are going. They go to live in the, they mate, and then they raise their babies over here in the marsh, in the cane, in the cotton, in the cattails and stuff. So that's why they're here. We know that. But when they first started coming here with these people that lived here long before 7,000 years ago, I suspect they were here 100,000 years ago. And so now if you find Homo sapien in Africa 40,000 years ago, these people were here, I think, 60,000 years before Homo sapiens developed in Africa. And then, when Homo sapiens did develop, and they migrated through and they followed these people down, they interbred with the people that were here that had the Denisovans Neanderthal gene. They were pure. They were pure Neanderthal that lived here. Until 13,000 years ago, or whenever, they started coming in. And I believe what happened was when they came in, they met this primitive culture that was hunting these feathers. And I believe that the culture that developed down in Amazon started right here. I believe these people had the colorful headdresses and stuff like that, and they had the bow and arrow. Now, another thing about this place is called the Bloodless Valley. And I can tell you this, that if those people were here with the bow and arrow, they were the dominant species, because they could shoot you from a distance when you only have a spear. So that's the difference between Clovis and woodland. Is Clovis was really developed as a spear point, as the best spear point you could get. That's what they think. I really believe the bow was around long before they believe it was. But, and especially here, because I can take you out here and I can show you the arrowheads that these people made with, and there's nothing here. You might look down on the ground and see something like that looks like a rock. No, it's just dirt. Now here's the only rocks. That's as big as they come. And see, there's something weird about that rock right there. It's been cracked in half. Why? were they cracking something that small trying to get an arrowhead that small if they weren't hunting those little birds? But that was made by a person. That's not an accident. If, here's another one right here. Now this one is a rock that has been split from the top to bottom, and when it split both sides off of it. So it either became the arrowhead or it made two arrowheads. And I'm just walking out here showing you what's in my driveway, and there's nothing else here. I've got a big hole out here. There's those red-winged blackbirds out there. Look at them. They're the coolest little birds, man. It's still winter. I mean, it's April here, but it's like still winter. Last night it was 20 degrees, you know, so it'll get up to 65 today, though. This is the desert. It's a high desert. But I'm going to take you out here and just show you what's actually here, what's in this ground. And you can dig a hole out here. There's what's left of an elk. You can dig a hole, you can see, here's the stuff that I dug up. And it kind of looks like this stuff is a rock, but it's not. It's not a rock. It's just harder dirt. Same thing over here. Well, there you go. There's 6 or 7 foot of it, dug out, put right here, and you could screen this whole thing. And the only thing you're going to find is dirt. I mean, and there's just 120 miles square of it out here. This is the bottom of an ancient lake. And so everything below all of this stuff that I'm showing you right here, it's stratified and classified as this valley was being created, flooded, glaciers, and all the stuff that created the valley itself that happened very long ago. Well, I believe these people were actually here, living here, when all that stuff was going on. I think that they were, when you look at the icon, here's where I had to bury my puppy over here. And so I just dropped these Indian artifacts right here on his grave. Here's the one I found yesterday. It's a quartz. It's like it's a quartz that has these banded. It's a banded quartz, and they must have really loved that thing. You know, you look at the use of it, and that's just. Here's a little metate I put out here on his grave. Anyway, yep, that's the story of the red-winged blackbird in Alamosa. These are the oldest residents of the county for sure. Of course, we got the dove too out here, but that's all. But when these people lived out here, I think there was probably 1,000 species of different kinds of colorful birds and stuff. Most of them, they probably wiped them out, you know, because of climate change and things that were going on at the time. And it was, climate change was going on. The ice age was melting back, you know. That's what created this giant lake in here. And I believe what really happened is right out here somewhere, it created a giant ice dam because of the climate and everything. And so what happened is it created this giant lake. And then at some point, the ice dam gave out and all of the water emptied out into New Mexico and created badlands in New Mexico and whatever. There was a lot of water that left this place all at one time. But it wasn't enough to like just flood everything that way, although all that sand right there came from right here. And the wind blows it that way. All of that out there, that's sand that came from right here. right here. So all that sand was about that much on top of all of this. So you see where I'm going here? the sand is still covering this debitage. So that means these people were here before that sand was there, and before that sand was here. Do you know how many years I'm talking? So now you see my situation. But these people were here long before anybody else in North America, or I think they were more than likely the first people to ever step foot in North America. And they just don't get the credit for it. And that's what's sad about it, is that these people lived out here with nothing but a stone. Nothing but a stone, man. I got so much respect for these people. It's not even real. Anyway, there you go.